All right. Good morning, guys. This is our first Guru meeting. I see we have quite a few people out there. Some of your names I recognize, so good morning to you. If you guys aren't familiar with me, my name is Paul Fragway. I am a systems engineer with Agility Communications Group. I have supported IP Office for 5 years, and I've been with Agility Communications for 2. So the purpose of this Guru series is to educate our customers. We understand that there's not just a need for us to supply a great product, but also to educate our customers on the products that we sell. So the purpose of the Guru series is to educate our customers and bring additional value to their investment. So what can you expect? Our goal is to take a topic and clear the confusion. Future Guru sessions will be covering 1X portal, mobility, creating and using conference bridges. If you have any suggestions, you can shoot me an email. My email address is pfragway, F-R-A-G-U-A, @agilitycg.com. You can just shoot me an email with any suggestions you guys might have. Just ask that you put the word Guru in the subject line. That way I can separate these emails from others quickly. These sessions will be broken up between monthly admin training, which will be the 3rd Wednesday of the month, and quarterly power user training. The first power user training will be held January 30th. Future dates can be found at agilitycg.com/events. Also, all of these sessions will be recorded, so if at any point I'm going too fast, don't worry, we're going to record all of these, and email will be sent out afterwards with instructions on how to access these videos so you can review them later. So what's today's topic? Today we're going to be discussing adding and removing users and extensions following best practices. We're going to try to lay out a process for you guys to help streamline this process when you need to do it. Oftentimes, administrators and office managers have good intentions of keeping their system clean, but over time and with a few frustrating experiences, the systems become cluttered with ex-employees and old extensions. The other day, I was on the help desk and I received a phone call from a lady who was a new employee, and she had been with the company for just about approaching 2 months. And she called me up. She says, Paul, I've been here for 2 months and I'm still sitting at an extension with someone else's name on it. So that shows that there is a need for this, and we got to get some things straightened out there if that's going on. So anyway, we're going to jump right in. Also, there's a chat capability through this GoToMeeting or this webinar here. If you pull up your tool on your end, you should see the ability to chat. So at any point, you can shoot me a message and ask any questions. When I get in between some of these sections, I'll take a look at whatever questions you guys have put out there and try to answer them best I can. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into this here. All right, what I have here is a configuration. This is just an example configuration that I've created for this purpose, but it serves for what we need. In this scenario, we have a company, Oscorp, and we have all of our users and extensions here. And first, what we'll talk about is removing users from the system. So if you're around long enough, every company has people that come and go. In this first scenario, we're going to take a request where, let's say, Jeremy Rudy, who is this extension right here, extension 2010, he's put in his 2-week notice. Today's his last day. He just left, so we need to go ahead and decommission this extension. So the first tip that I throw out there is most people will come to this extension, not really know how to handle it, but they know if they just delete it, then the problem will be resolved. Well, that may be the case. However, you may want to approach this a little differently. So when you go to re-provision these extensions, it'll make your life a little easier. So first thing we do is we find his extension inside of Manager, And the main thing is we go through and we take out anything that is specific to Jeremy. So what I usually do is I go here and I do what's called vacating an extension. So I just type in vacant and the extension number. Okay. This password here, I clear it out. Also, this account status, if you just set this to disable, you don't disable the extension. You actually disable the applications that this user has been assigned to. So this doesn't disable this extension from receiving phone calls, but we can go ahead and disable it here. Also, for the full name, I'll also type in vacant and the extension number. Okay. I'll leave the extension alone there, and I'll remove the email address because we don't want anything going to this email. Also, we get down to whether or not this user was a power user. If he was, we can remove the power user license by changing this profile. We can just change it to basic. When I do that, you see most of these checks are removed. That takes that license and throws it back into the pool, so you can reassign that license to another user if you need it. Also, if you come down here, this exclude directory, that EX is for exclude. We want to check that. That removes this user from the company directory that's viewable on the phones. So exclude that so you don't have a bunch of vacants listed in your company directory. We'll go to voicemail. Because no one's going to be at this extension any longer, we don't want calls go into voicemail that no one's going to be answering, so we'll remove the voicemail check here. Because we removed the email address on the previous tab, it's now gone here, so that's all good. Now, some very important tabs to look at when you're decommissioning a user, and we'll just go through them all here. The first ones that I hit up are forwarding. And this is a perfect scenario. Now, Jeremy's left the company, but his phone is set to forward to his personal cell. That's not good at all, because your customers are going to actually be, in this case, would be going to an ex-employee cell phone. So we want to make sure that we remove that here. This is on the forwarding tab. So we just take that out. Now, you may also get a request, let's say, from Jeremy's manager that they want to be able to receive those phone calls now that Jeremy's gone, so they make sure they're not missing any calls. So we can go here, we can forward, and we'll just put in the extension of that person's manager. So let's say in this case the manager is going to be at extension 2008. We just put that in there, and we're good. We'll save that. Now you can see the extension or the user has changed to vacant 2010. And we'll just keep going on through these tabs and continue to remove anything that is specific to Jeremy. Nothing there, nothing there. Button programming, you can come in here. Jeremy had a couple of buttons on his phone. These buttons from here to this twinning are what we consider our standard buttons in this environment. However, Jeremy had some that were kind of outside standard. In this case, this extension could see the status of Bart Bell, whether or not he's on the phone. Also, same with Alice. So if we wanted to remove that, we can. It's really not a big deal if we leave it, but let's go ahead and remove it. So now this extension just has the basic buttons. We'll kind of continue to go through here. Mobility, this is similar to forwarding. You want to make sure that mobility is turned off here, because also with this selected, calls would be going to Jeremy's personal cell phone. Again, not a good deal. And group memberships. Jeremy was part of the customer service hunt group, so we need to make a decision at this point. Do we want to remove him from that hunt? If we do, we just take note that he's in that hunt group here, and we'll remove him here in a minute. Okay. He may have added some personal like speed dial numbers onto his phone. You would see that listed here. If that was the case, you would want to go ahead and remove them. So we'll okay that. Now, since Jeremy was a member of that customer service hunt group, we want to go into groups, customer service, and it's this extension 2010 here, and we'll just remove that. So that phone isn't receiving any of those calls. All right. we've successfully removed a user from the system. Jeremy Rudy is no longer a part of this phone system. The extension still exists, which is going to make our life a lot easier when we need to bring someone back on. And also, this extension's not listed in the directory, and we know that forwarding in that has been removed. So at this point, that's the first piece of this presentation, and I'll just glance down here to see if anybody has any questions. I don't see any right off. That's fine. Oh, we got some. Let's see. Somebody raised their hand, but I don't see the question. Stacy has a question. Let's go to that. Stacy, I can't see your question just yet, so we'll come back to it here. All right, we'll move to the next piece, which is going to be provisioning vacant users. So now we have someone that's coming on board, and we want to assign them an extension. So what we'll do, so let's say we have a new employee. His name is Jeff Scott. Jeff's going to be a power user. He's going to come in, and he's going to assume the same extension that Jeremy had. So we never saved that, so we'll save Jeremy. So Jeremy's gone. Now we're going to assign 2010 to our new employee, Jeff Scott. So what I usually start at is I start at the full name field. And I'll just clear that out and type in Jeff's name. There we go. Take that. This field right here is the username field for different applications that Jeff may be assigned. So whatever you type in here for the name, this needs to be a unique name, one that's unique to the system. So in this case, whatever applications, whether it's 1X Portal or Softphone, whatever applications that Jeff may be using, his user ID for those applications is going to be capital J, capital S, and then lowercase COTT. We'll put it in a password here, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the password for those applications. So again, this if he was logging into 1X Portal, his password would be 1, 2, 3, 4, which I just typed in there. We'll enable him for applications because we're going to assign him some applications here. He's going to be a power user, so we need to make sure that's enabled. So we have the full name, Jeff Scott. We need to give him an email address, so that's going to be jscott@oscorp.com. All right, so we have an email address assigned. He's in the United States. That's good. And we'll give him power user. Now, we have assigned a power user license. And below here are the different applications in which we can assign him. We want him to have Softphone. We want him to have 1X Portal. And these applications are good. And we're going to send him the mobility email so that he can download the mobility app onto his cell phone. Also, we want to remove the check from exclude directory. That way his name shows up in the directory. We got that. Let's go into voicemail. We want to make sure he has a voicemail box, so we'll check this box here. At this point, we can assign Jeff a passcode that he would use to log into his voicemail. Since he's going to be a remote user, that'd be good. That way he can access his voicemail from the road. And we'll just give him the password of, let's see, 2412. 2412. There are some restrictions here when you're trying to set up your password, especially from the phone. The phone system doesn't like consecutive numbers, and it won't let you enter in your extension as your password for voicemail. So that's a heads up on that. This is his email address for voicemail to email. This is the address that those messages will be sent to as an attachment. We come down here to the voicemail to email section, and we have a few options. The default is off, but we want him to have voicemail to email. So what we'll do is we'll set him to copy. What copy is when Jeff receives a voicemail message, the voicemail will be on his phone, and also an email will be sent with an attachment WAV file of the message. That's copy. Now forward is just an email will be sent, so he won't have an actual voicemail message on the phone itself. It would just be in his Outlook or whatever email program he has as an attachment. So if you have users that are heavy into email, they're even checking and listening to emails on their phone, they can set those to forward as opposed to copy. Now also, if you notice in your system that some users have hundreds and hundreds of voicemails in their voicemail box, you know that they're probably, unless they're not saving them, maybe they're saving them intentionally, but check with them. If they're only checking it through email, set them to forward. That'll save you some resources on your voicemail system. This next section down here is your DTMF breakout. What this section is it allows, let's say I call Jeff, I get Jeff's greeting on his voicemail box. He says that he's not available to leave a message. If I don't want to leave a message while that greeting is playing and I just press 0, it's going to transfer my call to main. In this case, in this scenario, main is going to be the front reception. So my call would no longer be at Jeff's voicemail box. It would be transferred to the front desk where I would speak to a receptionist, and maybe she could transfer me to somebody else that could help me. We'll just continue through here. We'll go to the next tab. Do not disturb. Since this is a new extension that's coming on board, or a new employee that's coming on board, we want to make sure that the do not disturb checkbox is not checked down here. Short codes, not a big deal. Telephony. Here on the telephony tab, if we go to supervisor settings, there is a password. We typically make this password 1234 because this gives us some flexibility when deploying phones, especially digital phones. This allows a digital phone to log in and log out of different phones throughout the office. So 2010 could go to a phone, just log an extension out using *36, and then from that login screen, you'll see a login button. You can press login, put in the extension pound, which would be 2010. So you'd press 2010 pound, and the password, which would be 1234 in this case, and then pound, and then that extension 2010 would log into that phone. So we'll keep going here. Forwarding. Because this is a new employee coming on, we don't want to forward. Remember, this is being sent to Jeremy's manager. Since we're reprovisioning this extension, we can remove the forwarding here. Take that out. And I just go through all the tabs, look for settings I need to correct. Let's see, button programming. At this point, we see that this user has the basic buttons for this extension, so that's a good start. Over time, you might add different buttons depending on this person's role, but for this scenario, they're good on buttons. Mobility. Since Jeff is going to be a mobile user and he will be using his phone on the road quite a bit, we'll go ahead and enable mobility features. We'll also allow him to twin his cell phone to his desk phone, and right here we could enter in his phone number. So let's say 9. You have to put in a 9. If you use 9 to get an outside line, make sure you enter in 9, and we'll give him a phone number right there. Also, if he's going to be using the mobility client, you'll want to make sure that you check this here. This allows him access to mobility. We'll go ahead and click OK. Groups. We want to see if there's any hunt groups that this user needs to be a member of. Right now, this extension is not a member of any groups, but if Jeff was going to be in customer service, kind of replacing Jeremy, then we would want to go to the customer service hunt group and add him in there as well. So that's basically it for adding a user where a vacant already exists. And let me make sure that we went over everything. Remember, just put in his name, the email address, remove the exclude from directory, power users, assign the license, check any applications that they're going to be using. All right, let me see if we can get these questions going again. I see there are some out there. But once I started sharing my screen, I don't have the ability now to pull up the questions. So we're going to have to fly with this. Guys, if you have a question and I can't get to you, I'm sorry. Just send me an email and we'll answer those questions. Just put Guru in the subject line and we can answer those questions as needed. And I'll keep trying to get to your questions also here. All right, we'll go to the next section. Now, there's scenarios where you need to add a user when the extension does not exist on the system. That's a little trickier. A lot of times, if you just go in, let's say we want a user to have extension 2012 in this scenario. Okay? We go to our extensions, you see here, or our users, we see here that 2012 doesn't exist. So we don't have the privilege of having a vacant user to just rename. And if we go in here also, we notice we can organize by extensions. And we see that we don't have 2012 as an extension in here. So what usually happens is admin will come to extensions because that's where they want to add. And they'll just go here and new and go to extension and add an extension. If you do that first, you're going to be required to reboot the phone system to get that system added or get that extension added. That's not going to be doable, especially in the middle of the day. And we can't wait till after hours to provision this extension for a new employee. So what do? What we can do in scenarios like that is we start at the user and we'll go here. And at this point, we can either right-click in this field and go New, or if we have a template that has some of our standard buttons on it, okay, like this, we can select it and right-click and copy, and then right-click and paste. Either way is fine. So in this case, we'll use our template, okay? So now, our new employee has a user set up here. Now we just need to fill in all the blanks, okay? Our new employee's name is going to be Carly Burns. So we'll type in, always start at the full name field, Carly Burns, okay? And then I take that and I copy it and I paste it in here and give it a username. So now the username for Carly is going to be C. Burns. We'll give Carly a password, 1234, 1234. Make sure that this is enabled for any applications that we assign Carly. Now, we need to give Carly an extension. We already know that we want Carly to have extension 2012. So we'll go ahead and assign extension 2012 here. And you can see that the phone system is still barking at us. It's saying, hey, 2012 doesn't exist, which that's fine. We're going to clear that up here in a minute, and I'll show you how that works out. We need to put Carly's email address in here, cburns@oscorp.com. Okay. Now, Carly's going to be in the United States, so we'll go down here, United States, good place to be. Okay, Carly also, she's going to be a power user, so we need to assign a power user license right there. Now, we can specify, I only want her to have a soft phone. She's going to be a part-time employee, let's say, and she's going to be remote. She doesn't come into the office. And the only thing she's really going to use is soft phone, so that's good. We'll just give her that. Make sure that your exclude directory isn't checked. Now, from this point, everything's basically the same as re-provisioning a vacant user. We'll just kind of go through the tabs, make sure voicemail's on, has a email address in there that's appropriate for her. We'll set her to copy. Actually, because she's using soft phone and she's going to be working in front of her PC all the time, we already know it's going to be more convenient for her to have her voicemails come to her email. So we'll set her to forward. Make sure Do Not Disturb is not on. Okay. Telephony, not a big deal for her. She's a soft phone user. Forwarding, make sure there's no forwarding on. Buttons, now she already has her buttons because we use the template. You can have different templates for, say, let's say you have a help desk template, a customer service rep template, sales template, depending if they have different programming that's different for those individual users. But in this case, we have just a standard template, and this will work perfect for Carly. So we'll go with that. That looks good. Mobility, she's not going to be using any mobility features, so we're not going to assign any here. Group membership, because this is a template. You could have a template where you had some standard groups, but in this case we don't. We'll go ahead and click OK. Oh, login code. You do have to have a login code since she's going to be using soft phone. We'll do it 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Now, what you would typically see in a scenario like that, when I click OK, because this is an offline config, it didn't necessarily do it, but when you click OK and the extension doesn't exist here, you will be prompted with another window. It says, would you like the system to create this extension? At which point you have the option to choose different extensions on the system. If it's an IP phone, you will choose the H323 option. So you just put a check in that box or a dot next to H323, click OK, and then it automatically creates the extension over here in extensions. Okay, once you have that, you can just merge the config. Now Carly has the ability to go to her phone and log into it. And that's basically how you re-provision a new extension on the phone system. All right. One more thing I want to talk about here is I want to discuss, now if you are adding an IP phone, you need to make sure that you have an IP license. So what you would do to check that is you could pull up, and I have a screenshot here of system status. So you would log into your system status, and in here you would see, go to resources and then go to licenses. And in here you can see how many Avaya IP endpoint licenses you have. In this case, we have 34 licenses on the system, and we only have 15 in use. So the difference between those two is how many more licenses you have to provision. Same thing for power user. However many power user licenses you have, you'll see that listed in here, and you'll know if you need to purchase more as you're handing those out. All right. I'm going to give these questions one more shot here. I see you guys have some questions out there, and I'm trying to get to them. The interface became different once we actually went live with the meeting, so bear with me. Yeah, it's just not pulling up the screen. So that being the case, no worries. Go ahead and shoot me an email with whatever questions you have. Just put Guru in the subject title. My email address is pfragway, that's F-R-A-G-U-A @agilitycg.com, and put Guru in the subject, and just shoot me an email with whatever questions you have. We'll get those answered for you. Some other notes I want to touch on. One being our upgrades to Release 9. Release 9 is out. One big feature with Release 9 that I want you guys to see is the new manager. With that, it now has a web manager where you can pull up the IP address. You just basically web into the IP address of your IP office, and it brings you to a web portal. At this point, you can sign in to that web interface, and a lot of the changes that we were going through today in Manager, you now have access to over the web. So your junior admins, if you have a help desk or you have some junior admins that kind of take over some of these responsibilities, this may be something you want to grant them access to. They can just pull up the IP address, web into it, log in, and this is what it looks like once you get in. You can manage your different users here by clicking Edit off to the right. In the following screen that comes up has a lot of the same settings that we went over today. And this will be a topic in one of our future videos as well, as how to use the web manager and get in there and make changes as you need. But I wanted to bring that up just to show you some of the new features with Release 9. Also, if you are interested in getting upgraded to Release 9, shoot me an email. Just put Guru or upgrade to Release 9 in the subject and get that to me. We'll make sure somebody reaches out to you, answers any questions you have on that, so you're prepared or ready for that. Also, I want to discuss our support contracts. If you guys don't have a support contract, get one, at least get a quote. If you're interested in that, you can shoot me an email also. We have two types of support contracts. We have an advisor support contract. What that is a break fix. So we're there with you anytime you have an issue on your phone system. Maybe you have a piece of hardware that goes out, or you're having some major problems. You can get with us. Your problems become our problems, and we can help you through that. And that's kind of a break fix contract we have. Also, an upgraded contract from that, which is called Extended Team. And Extended Team is just that. We're an extension of your team. So anything that you need to have done, whether it's just a simple add and remove users, kind of what we went over today, we can go through that and do any of that for you. Just shoot us an email. We'll knock it out for you. Any future planning, we're there with you the whole way, walking you through the process. So Extended Team is really a good way to go for those of you that just kind of want to have a hands-off with administration on that. So I apologize about the questions. I see you guys have them out there. We can still get those answered for you. Just shoot me an email, and we will get to each and every one of them. But with all this being said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up. I hope that you guys got some good information from it, and we'll continue to have these sessions, and they'll be better and more informative, and we'll cover even more topics. So this is the first one that we now have under our belt, and everything will be even better moving forward. So we hope you guys continue to join with us. And with that, I'll go ahead and close things out. Thanks, guys, for joining.